So today I'm going to show how to do a one-point perspective drawing of just simple boxes, how to use the tools of a pencil and a ruler or a straight edge, and getting that one-point perspective drawing. In the next video, I will show how to do the two-point perspective, but this is a bonus, so don't feel like you have to do this. As long as you get this part done, you'll be in good shape. So I'm going to show how to create a one-point perspective drawing. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of paper, and this can be any paper. Unlined is better than lined so that you're not getting confused with which lines are the ones you're supposed to be looking at. But this can be any size. It does not need to be one of the fancy art papers I sent home. This can be just any paper. This is just a practice artwork. You will need a straight edge though, and so a ruler is the best option for this. However, if you didn't bring your ruler home, or if you don't have one available to you, there are lots of things that can stand in as a straight edge. You can use the edge of another piece of paper, because guess what? Hey, that's pretty straight. You can use the edge of a cardboard box, or the edge of a, I don't know, a cutting board. There's lots of different things that have straight edges, and any of those things will work. The main thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our ruler as a straight edge. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to put it on our paper, and we're going to make our horizon line first. So whenever you're starting, decide where does the sky meet the ground. So I'm going to move my ruler, and I'm also going to make sure that my horizon line is going to be perfectly horizontal, since horizon line. So I don't want it to be like kitty wampus. I want to make sure it's nice and straight. Okay. And then one thing you can do to make sure it's straight is you can actually line it up with the edge of the paper. And then you can simply slide it up a little bit. As long as you're sliding right in the middle and being even, you can make sure that that's nice and straight. You can also just sort of double check that this distance is the same all the way across. Then you'll want to hold your ruler with one hand and draw your line. Now it's a little tricky because I'm holding my phone so I can take that this. I'm going to draw my line and then come back. So you want to hold your ruler in the middle. Don't hold it top or bottom, but hold it right in the middle. And then draw with your pencil along the other side of the ruler. So don't try to draw along the bottom side where your hand is holding. Draw the other side. Okay? I'm going to draw my line and then I'll come back. All right. So now I have my horizon line, and I'm going to draw a vanishing point. So I'm going to pick somewhere on that line to be my vanishing point. And it can be anywhere along. You can put it over here in the corner, you can put it right in the middle, you can put it on the left. It doesn't really matter which one you want, or which way you want. But you can pick wherever you want, and you're just going to draw a tiny little dot. Don't make this a super huge circle. Just say, hey, there's my vanishing point. Cool. So now I know where my vanishing point is. I'm ready to draw some squares to start with. It's really important that these squares are actually square. So they can't be like diamond shape or kitty wampus, and you want to make sure that the lines of them are parallel to the bottom of your paper and to the side. So the best way that I've found of doing that is actually lining your ruler up along the side of the paper, and then simply sliding it over, and then using those inch measurements to help get your square to be kind of the same distance on all sides. So I'm going to pick a size. So I'm going to go probably from the 5 to the 6 here. So I know that it's 1 inch. So even though I'm using it in the middle of the ruler, I still know that there, because I've got the space between the 5 and the 6. And that's 1. So 6 minus 5 is 1. So I'm going to draw a line between the 5 and the 6. Then I'm going to shift my ruler to the bottom here like this, and I'm going to line it up at the bottom, and I'm going to line it up evenly across the bottom. I'm going to shift up, and I'm going to make sure that it's on one of those long lines. So I just moved it over a little bit, and now I'm going to go between the 1 and the 2. And remember, we're not looking at those numbers necessarily. We're looking at the lines next to the numbers. That's how rulers work, right? So, oh, I didn't actually draw on the paper. I drew on my ruler itself. So watch out. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so there's between the 1 and the 2. I'm going to line my ruler back up at the bottom just in case I shimmied a little bit. I'm going to roll it right back up, zoop, right there. And I'm going to make sure that line that I drew before is lined up right at the 1. On the camera, it looks like it isn't, but in real life it is. It's just the angle is a little bit off. Okay, there we go. And then my last line, I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to shift this over. And I'm going to draw that last line between those 2 lines that I already drew. So then we should end, whoops, sorry, with a nice square. So it should be nice and square. It should be equal distance from the paper to the bottom of the paper. And I want you to draw 3 squares on your paper. 1 below the horizon, 1 above the horizon, and 1 more on the horizon, either to the left or the right of the vanishing point. So we're not going to do anything with that vanishing point just yet, but I want you to go right now and go draw 3 squares. Squares drawn, and you can put your squares wherever you want, but you need to make sure that you do have 3 squares drawn. And then the square that's on that center of the horizon line, you can go ahead right now and erase the horizon line that's going through the center of your square. So right now we've drawn the vertical and horizontal lines, the ones that we call those parallel lines, because they're parallel to the edge of the page. So parallel and parallel. So they're parallel to the edge of the page vertical, they're parallel to the edge of the page horizontal. And then we're going to draw orthogonal lines that are going to go towards this vanishing point. So I'm going to take my straight edge or my ruler, and I'm going to line up the edge of the ruler with the edge of the shape, the square, and the edge of the vanishing point. So it's kind of tricky. You have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes you might have to shimmy your ruler around a little bit. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be way over here. It's not going to help you. You want to make sure that you can just barely see it and just barely see it. Then you want to hold your ruler in the center and then draw that line from the edge of your shape all the way to the vanishing point. And you can cross that vanishing point. That's fine. And you're going to do this on 3 edges, the 3 edges that are closest. I don't need to do it way on this edge because I'm not going to see the inside of my box. So I'm just going to do the edges that are closest to the vanishing point. So for this square that's above it, that's this edge, that edge, and this edge. I'm going to go ahead and draw all 3 of those. And it doesn't matter if you're starting on the vanishing point or you're starting on the square. But the most important thing is to really be careful and line up where you want that ruler to be. Okay? If you overshoot your square, not a big deal. Just take your eraser and just erase outside of the square. Okay? If you draw it and it's way off, then you might want to erase the whole line and try again. It's not a super huge deal if it's a little bit off. But one thing I will say is it's super obvious if you don't use a ruler or a straight edge. If you just freehand these lines, it's really clear if you do that. I chose to use a mechanical pencil for this process because this is a mechanical process and you need kind of sharp, precise lines. You can also just sharpen a pencil really good, and that's fine too. So you're going to do the same process for all 3 boxes. Now this one is on the horizon line, so you actually only have to do 2 lines. You're going to go from here all the way back, from there all the way back. Okay, and then your last one, you're actually not going to go all the way to the horizon line, unless, and this could be the one that's above here too, but if you have something in the way, like your other box, when you line it up with the horizon line, or with the vanishing point, and you're drawing the orthogonal, you can stop You can stop when you get to something where it interferes. So when you are drawing a square where there's an something in your way before you get to the vanishing point, you still want to line your ruler up to that vanishing point, and you still want to hold your ruler steady. But when you're drawing your line, when you get to something that intercepts, you just stop your line. You don't have to keep going. As long as it's lined up, it'll still make sense when you actually start making your boxes. So line up at the corners, draw, draw, draw. Oh, stop when you get to that intersection, okay? So, and this one, you can just draw all the way, okay? And if you accidentally make a little mistake, you can just erase. Not a big deal. One thing I will say is that you might look at these boxes and go, what, Mrs. Miller, they're starting to look maybe, but it looks a little weird. And you're right, it does look a little weird. But this last step is the step we want to do to really make these look like boxes. So our last step is we're going to do the rest of our vertical and horizontal lines, the back ends of the boxes. So we have the flat front face, the one that's facing us, and then we need the sides or the edges. So we're going to do horizontal line up, and I'm going to do this box first. So I'm going to line up, I'm going to slide down, and I'm going to pick a place, so keeping my ruler horizontal, I'm not letting it go kittywampus. You know, you might look and say, okay, that's probably pretty good, but nope. In fact, what you can do is you can actually line up with the box that you drew, the front edge, and then just slide it up. Just go directly up and pick a spot. So I'm going to pick right about there, and then I'm going to draw my line. Okay, I'm going to connect this orthogonal to that orthogonal. Now I'm going to go vertical, and I'm going perfectly vertical. I'm going to line up with the edge of the square. Okay, and then I'm going to slide. And I'm going to slide over and over and over until I'm lined up with the line that I'd already just drawn. And I'm keeping my ruler vertical. I know on my camera it looks like it's a little skewed, but I promise it is vertical. It's just the direction of my camera. Oop, careful that you don't overshoot like that. So then you can erase any extras. Okay, any of those orthogonals that go outside of the box you've just made, just erase them. You don't need them. Those are extra bits. And now I've got a beautiful box. Now if you go, doesn't look like a box, I say yes it is. But if you want to see the inside of the box, let's say we're looking down and it's hollow, we would draw this line here. This vertical is the back side where this corner meets this corner. Now we're looking down into the box. For my other boxes, I might have a different part be hollow. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do just one vertical, so I'm going to line it up with this box, shimmy that over, draw a vertical line. Okay, and I'm going to erase the horizon line that crosses that part, erase all the orthogonals that go outside, but I want to keep my horizon line that's outside of the box. And let's say I want to see the inside of good looking in that way. Well then, I might have from this line, I might have a horizontal. Zoop, just like there. And zoop, just like there. So I'm looking into the box. Do you guys see it? It's an optical illusion. Pretty fancy. And then this one, I'm going to do one more time. Slide down, draw my line, line up vertical, slide over, draw my line. And this one, I'm going to see into the front side of the box. So this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. And this is kind of that bonus information. So I'm going to go from here draw my line like that. This is that extra orthogonal that I said we didn't need to do. But because I'm going to see the inside of the box, I do need to do it. And this one, I'm actually going to bring that horizontal line all the way down to this corner back here. And that's where I'm going to draw my line with that orthogonal. And this one, this vertical, I'm going to bring all the way over there like that. So something like that. And we can see the inside of the box looking in. So those are my 3D fancy boxes. Looks pretty cool. So this is all you have to do for credit this week. Adding in the inside of the boxes, that's bonus. So if you just want to have just the plain Jane squares, as long as these are all drawn with straight edges, you will be in good shape. That is a-okay. All right. But if you want to add the insides of the boxes and take your time, you are more than welcome to try that and give that a go.